So basically, I'm gonna start with a primer. If you put moisturizer on first, you wanna make sure it soaks all the way in. So about the amount of time it would take to brush your teeth, because if you don't, the moisturizer is gonna be floating and then the makeup would float over the top of that. So you wanna do that first. So I'm gonna do one quick mist. This is how it should feel. That's the primer.
That's all you put?
That's it.
I felt like half my face. You did the whole face?
I did, but what I did was I went right down the center.
Yeah.
I went right down the center,
Yeah.
and what happens is you get the primer in the middle part where you need the majority of the, the filling, the creases, the pores, and all of that. And a lot of times people get a lot of dryness right in this area, so it'll actually create a smooth surface for the foundation to go over the top of. So that's all you need. But if you have somebody who has very dry skin, very open pores, you can layer this as well. You can put more primer, and you can even apply it with your fingers too if you feel like you really need to get a lot more hydration in that area.
My fingers, it works fine.
Yeah, exactly.
So what are you going to put on him?
I think I'm going to use the 6. I'm going to try it first, and
My son will love this.
I always use the ends on men. The ends, it means it's neutral. Most men have a lot more red undertone in their skin. And if you use a warm, the warm has more white because it has more yellow in it. So naturally it's going to give you more of an opaqueness, whereas the ends will give you a more neutral, more see-through appearance. So I'm going to try this color on you first just to make sure it is the right shade. And it should basically just melt into the skin. You shouldn't see it. And so that's a good shade. So I'm going to do one side first.
You did? You can see it glows. Yeah.
So I'm going to do one side first, and I'm going to just pull his hair back and then just do one quick mist. With men, I never conceal, because if you knock out any kind of shadowing underneath the eyes, it automatically looks like they have something on. Now for stage I do, because you've got all that bright light and then the shadows and all of that. But for just natural everyday wear, one quick mist is more than enough. And I'm gonna do actually just a teeny bit more on your forehead, so kind of miss that area. So with a man, I actually like to use the puff because I'm gonna just wipe it off the brows.
It's just the ones that have.
And then pick up anything that is sitting on the surface of the skin. So I'm gonna do that first. And it just gives you a little bit of color. Now, I like to match the skin tone in most scenarios, but if you have somebody that doesn't have a lot of color in their skin to begin with, I always bump up a color, because you want them to look like they just spent the afternoon.
You want to take it? Yeah, you go. I'm going to see this.
Yeah, it's never gonna be better than the pro.
I know, they didn't have it done by the pro.
So wipe it off the brows. Now, a lot of times with men, if they're not necessarily about wearing a foundation, I always use the tissue though, because I want you to see how very little